Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, August 11th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Dan Rubin in just a moment. Starting a little early today. We got a lot going on. We're going to be interviewing Ryan Day after practice today, probably around 11 o'clock or 11:30, maybe 11:45, but we'll have wall-to-wall coverage of that on Bucknuts. On today's show, Dan and I are going to play the fill-in-the-blank game, focused, of course, on the 2025 Buckeyes. So we're going to have some fun with that and just kind of looking ahead to what we're most curious to hear from Coach Day today. Obviously, everything he says about the quarterbacks, but there's going to be a lot of good stuff we glean from Coach Day today. I would imagine it's in the team room. It's not going to be one of these lightning rounds where you get him for like 8 minutes. He'll be in there for probably 25 minutes. And that will be awesome. And you guys know what else is awesome. Gooder sunglasses. Gooder sunglasses. They're awesome for a variety of reasons. I mean, they look great. They start at $25 a pair. There's no slip, no bounce. They're 100% polarized. All the good stuff. I recommend buying multiple because I'm going to tell you guys in a little bit, we can get you free shipping. So get multiple. I've never been able to break any Gooder sunglasses. I have maybe lost 1 or 2 or 3 of them. So pretty good if you lose them, it's only $25, starting at $25. You know, the real fancy ones are like $35. So and we can get you guys a great deal. They're good for, you know, if you run or you bike or you hike or you play tennis. They're good for all that good stuff. Golf, doesn't matter. Pickleball. If you guys need a new pair of sunglasses, Gooder is giving Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/Bucknuts, use code Bucknuts for free shipping. Gooder offers 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's gooder.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. All right. Let's ship Dan Rubin right in here. Bam. Good to see you on a Monday.
Yourself. Never played pickleball.
It's fun. I still prefer tennis, but, you know, it's good. It's good to have that as a fallback option as I continue to get older.
You got the tennis family, that's for sure.
Yeah, and like, you know, what's nice is my oldest had never played pickleball. She goes out there, she's immediately good at it, and her friends were like, "I thought you never played before." She's like, "Well, I played varsity tennis for 4 years, so
she's a ringer.
Automatically good at it."
She's a ringer.
There you go. Yeah, bring in the ringer. They had no idea. It was funny because it was girls that she didn't go to high school with. All right. This is your idea. I love it. Fill in the blank game. Let's play it.
Dave, we love games.
We do.
And I would encourage everybody, couple things. One, let me put on my publisher's hat here. We have a 50% off fall camp special going on right now for the site. Lots of stuff. All the premium content you could ever want. This year is going to be a ton of it, and our guys are all over it. And another thing, this podcast is starting to get close to falling behind the Michigan podcast in subscribers. YouTubers, press pause and hit the subscribe button. We rarely ask for that. If you're a podcast, an avid podcast listener, I'll bet you we ask for subscriptions less than anybody else, at least to the YouTube page. Today we're asking for it on a Monday so that we keep all our P's and Q's in order. All right. I would also encourage you to play along at home. If you want to hit pause, if you want to be really into it, hit pause. Not for something you said, but for the answers. You can pause it and see if you get the same answers as Dave. These are all over the place about the Buckeyes. Cool. There's even one question that comes completely out of nowhere because in my research, I just saw a statistic that I felt needed to be shared. All right, Dave. Now, to be fair, there's 9 questions on here.
Okay. I
sent Dave the first 3, so he had a chance at getting better chance of getting a passing grade. So he knows the answer. He hopefully has his answers ready for the first 3. After that, Dave, as well as y'all, are going to be flying blind. Dave, question number 1. And this is for anybody who's listened to any preseason content on 24/7 and elsewhere. It starts with 2 guys for Ohio State, but one of them will not be eligible for the draft next year. One of them will. His name is Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs will be the first Buckeye picked in the 2026 NFL draft. The second will be blank.
I'll go with Carnell Tate. I think he's going to have a big enough year. His size will help him, and the lineage of Ohio State wide receivers will help him. I don't think he's going to go early in the first round, but I think he'll go somewhat late in the first round. Some other guys I kicked around, Max Clare, although he could come back for another year. The thing that's going to hurt Max Clare a little bit in the NFL is his size. He's not the ideal size. If you look at the first round tight ends, not a lot of them are 6'4", 240. But that goes right out the window if he has a big year and does what he needs to do at the combine. But he could come back for another year. Ethan Onion was another one that I considered. Hopefully Caden McDonald doesn't go anywhere. Kenyatta Jackson, I considered him. Jermaine Matthews, I considered him. IGB, I considered him. But I went with Carnell Tate.
The sleepers to me are the 2 linebackers.
Oh, so that's true. Sonny Stott. Yeah, Sonny.
Because those 2, Sonny and Arvell Reese, absolutely fit the mold. Just like you said about Max Clare, production-wise, he's the leading returner in the Big Ten. And the top 2 guys were first-round draft picks last year, Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. Ironically, not in that order. But Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese fit the mold. You know what I mean? First-round draft picks, they want you to fit a template. And
hopefully Arvell comes back for his senior year, but yeah, he might not. Yeah.
It's pretty rare that guys at Ohio State who look like that and expectations are that high play their senior year in Columbus. Now, I hope that happens too, sort of.
Things have changed though with NIL. Like guys like I know it's different. Donovan Jackson never would have came back for a senior year if not for NIL. He just would have been probably a 3rd round pick. JT Tuimoloau probably wouldn't have come back. Maybe not Jack Sawyer. So maybe that would help get Arvell to come back in extra years if the NIL is in place. Who knows? All right.
Certainly a much better chance than there was prior to this. By the way, I'm a nerd. I watched a little bit of a Minnesota preseason game, and they gushed about Donovan Jackson. Not surprising. I think it was a local broadcast, but still not surprising. All right. Question 2 for you, fill in the blank, if you're playing along at home. Ohio State's starting defensive line amassed 27.5 sacks in 16 games last season. This season's starting defensive line will have blank sacks. Now, I think there's a chance we're going to have 5 starters. So I think you know who those are. I'll let you choose for the 5 combo. So that means Bo Atkinson is involved, Caden McDonald, Edric Houston, Caden Curry, and Kenyatta Jackson.
27.5 last year.
Correct. And 16 games.
And there's no guarantee, obviously, they're going to play 16 games this year. They'll definitely play more than 12. Let's see here. I'll go with those 5. And I think Kenyatta obviously is going to, well, not obviously. I think Kenyatta is going to lead the pack there. I think they're going to get a decent amount of sacks from their linebackers. And Caleb Downs, I think, Matt Patricia is going to use him as a Swiss Army knife. So it's not going to, a lot of the pressure might not necessarily just come from the DNs. And K-Mac is having a huge camp, and he's not a guy that's going to get sacks. He might get a couple here and there. I will say 26.5. I'll say they're just under last year.
Yeah. As I went through this, I think you raised the 2 interesting points. One, I think people would be surprised, and it comes up later, how many sacks came from linebackers. JT, I think, led the team with 12.5, which is almost half that 20. And then the majority came from, not the majority, but some of the other guys were linebackers. I think that's a good guess.
Really turned it on in the playoffs. JT had half of his sacks in the 4 playoff games. Maybe it was 6.5. He either had 6 or 6.5, because as you mentioned, he had 12.5. He either had 6. I think he had 6 in the playoffs. Go with your first instinct. 6.5 in the regular season. Not bad. And then, boom, 6 and 4 playoff games. Captain Jack, same deal, man. He turned it on in the playoff. And we're not just talking about that one play, obviously, but he was getting a lot more sacks per game than he was during the season. I'll say they go just under and hope I'm wrong. But I think they're going to get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Matt Patricia, man, I think he's going to do a great job.
I agree with that. Somehow he's become – I think Matt Patricia somehow becomes slightly underrated since we did this. I don't know why that is, but I guess we'll get to it at some point. But I agree with you. the real determining factor there is how many games they play. I mean, they could obviously make a run at 27 and a half in 16 games. I got to say, less than I expected when I crunched the numbers.
Right.
So I don't think that's an outlandish number. All right. Question 3. The Buckeye that's about to become a star is blank. And let's define, hold on a sec. Let's define become a star. For example, Arvell Reese would not be an acceptable choice here. I think he's close enough to everyone saying it. I'm thinking more someone who really, yes, the Nutters know who he is and expect him to be really good. But in terms of like your average Oregon fan or your average Cal Berkeley fan will know who this guy is by the end of this season.
Yeah, I had a national writer come up to me at one of the practices and ask me, give me a breakout player. And then he defined it as someone who did not start last year that will start this year. I could cheat and just say Julian Saying. I'm going to say Jermaine Matthews.
Interesting.
If you're an Oregon fan, you're thinking, oh, they're losing this guy and this guy and this guy. Maybe they'll have a weakness at corner. No, they won't. He's gonna have a huge year. Yeah.
I like that. In fact, when we did I don't know if you remember this. Was it with you that we did I've done a lot of pods, Dave, and
trust me, I get it.
And I'm getting older, and my memory is fading. But I think I said I had Jermaine Matthews as my sleeper first-round draft pick because he's just got the platform for it. Great corners at Ohio State who accept the spotlight without grabbing the other team on every possession tend to go high on the draft. All right, here we go. Oh, this is a good one. For the first time, excuse me, in 31 years, the great Phil Steele has picked Penn State as his number 1 team. In your opinion, Penn State will finish the season ranked blank.
Come on, so final AP poll, right? Final AP poll, the gold standard. Penn State will finish ranked.
So obviously that you're having a crunch. Go ahead.
Fourth.
Okay, so you think they're going to lose in the semis?
Yeah, something like that. I'm not kidding. They are very talented. Speaking of Phil Steele, when you look at the most talented teams, just based on where he has like defensive tackle groups ranked and defensive ends, all the different position groups, Penn State and Clemson really have. Now Ohio State might be like, okay, let's see how that ranks at the end of the year. Georgia, same thing. Let's pause on that. And Phil Steele does a good job. I think he's the best at picking where teams are going to finish in their conference. He's really good at that, but he's good with his position rankings. So Penn State's very talented. Drew Aller, really good kid. I'm not buying he's a national championship quarterback, and I know this is low-hanging fruit, but James Franklin, I need to see it first. Now, people are saying the exact same thing about Ryan Day last year, so I get it. People are saying the same thing about Kirby Smart till they weren't. So I get it, but I am stopping short of saying Penn State's going to win the national title, but they are really good. They're very talented and they're deep, and but I'll say fourth.
I have to say and I'm obviously putting myself in position to be aggregated, clipped, and whatever. I just don't see it. I don't understand it. I think the narrative of Ohio State and Michigan bringing people back has made it kind of simple. The 2 players that scared me most on Penn State are in the NFL, Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter.
That's fair. They did bring a lot of guys back, but those
were the 2
But Ohio State last year, the previous year, lost Marvin Harrison Jr. And I can't believe I'm saying this because, Dan, it wasn't that long ago we were having conversations on the Bucknuts Morning 5, in 2022 and 2023. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. the best player, best receiver ever come through here? So they lose him. He's the first receiver off the board in a loaded wide receiver draft. And dare I say, they upgraded with Jeremiah Smith. So Penn State can't say that. We lost Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren, but we upgraded with this guy. It's like, no. So it's not quite the same as Ohio State last year, but we'll see. I can see why Penn State fans are excited, and it's a lazy argument from the outside to be like, Michigan did this, then Ohio State did it with kind of the same blueprint, although Michigan's blueprint, I would argue, had a lot of other layers associated with it. And we're about to have 28 more days for the deadline, so to speak, of the sanctions to come out. Get your popcorn ready. But taking that out of the mix, the blueprint of Michigan, Ohio State bringing their guys back and everything, and guys not going pro, and it could have been second, third round, fourth round picks. I get it, but I'm not on board with Drew Aller being a national championship quarterback, and I'm not on board with James Franklin winning one. So we'll see.
Go check out their depth chart. 3 transfers on offense, only 1 on defense. All 3 transfers starting on offense are the receivers. And they have not been good enough at receiver in the past. I don't know, man. Got some negativity on there. Come on, Neil.
Give me some. Give me just a minute. I'm going to do another ad read because Dan and I can't go. I'm loving this. We're going to go another 20 minutes. I have to be done no later than 8:35. So we still have another 20 minutes, my friends. And I can let you know about the best damn boots on the planet, Brunt.
Oh yeah,
look at these bad boys, man. This is their Marin soft toe boot. Soft toe. Ow. That's what their steel toe looks like. I mean, this thing is awesome and so comfortable. These are comfortable than your favorite sneakers. I'm not even joking. Super comfortable, durable. These will be the best work boots you've ever had in your life. They're even good for podcasters like me because I can throw them on with a nice pair of jeans. And people are always like, "What are those? Where did you get those jeans?" Or where'd you get those jeans?
Nice bump.
Boots. Maybe they say both. No. Where'd you get those boots? And I'm like, Brunt. And I tell them I can get you a good deal. So you just have to listen to the Bucknuts Morning 5 and I can get you a good deal. They really are. They're very comfortable. They will be the best work boots you've ever tried. And they have other really good products. They have weather-resistant jackets, weather-resistant pants, and much more. Anything you need for a tough job, they've got it. It'll be comfortable and you'll look good. Some of you guys probably don't care if you look good, but if you care about both, that's good. And I know you care about comfort. So they'll be very durable and very comfortable, and we can get you guys a good deal. All right. Head to bruntworkwear.com, use code Bucknuts, and you're all set. We're going to give you $10 off. $10 off. Head to bruntworkwear.com, use code Bucknuts. Boom, $10 off. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. One more time. bruntworkwear.com, use code Bucknuts for $10 off. Bam. All right, Mr. Rubin.
All right, I'll try and pick it up here, Dave. I'm digressing more than usual, which is.
I've been talking a lot too, though.
Good Lord, for a Monday, people are probably ready to jump off a ledge. All right. Last season, this guy led Ohio. Excuse me. Last season, Dave, this guy led Ohio State in tackles, both solos and assists. Was second in tackles for loss, third in sacks and passes defended. His name is?
Cody Simon.
Correct. As Simon's replacement, Arvell Reese's numbers will be blank in comparison. Now, I'm not saying it's a direct replacement because they have different responsibilities, but essentially those snaps that went to Cody Simon will go to Arvell Reese. As Simon's replacement, Arvell Reese's numbers will be blank in comparison.
It'll be a lot different because I think he'll have how many sacks did Cody have?
I believe 7.
I can see Arvell having more sacks, and I know he had a ton of you say 12 tackles for loss. I can see those. He'll have less tackles. Here's why. They're going to play more 3 linebacker sets. They've already said now they can use, thanks to Peyton Pierce, just locking down that inside the box, and Arvell could lock it down too. But this allows them to let Arvell move around a little bit, right? They can blitz him. So he's not just going to be out there all the time as middle linebacker like Cody was. And there's going to be times maybe they only have 2 linebackers out there. They give Arvell a rest, have Peyton out there. Sometimes they'll have Arvell and Peyton out there together, give Sonny a rest. Sometimes it'll be Sonny and Arvell. They'll give Peyton a rest. But I think they're going to have more 3 linebacker sets. So I don't think he's going to match Cody's stats overall, but I could see him having more. So I'll say he'll go over sacks, barely under tackles for loss of what Cody had, and definitely under tackles.
And be fun to watch because
and be an absolute, as you like to say, a werewolf. An absolute out there. And they love him too. They gush about those 3 guys, man. They gush about them. Patricia, James Laurinaitis, gush about Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, and Peyton Pierce. Get excited.
As you know, Dave, I'm very reticent to dole out the werewolf moniker, but I think this season you may have Sonny and Arvell Reese. We may start 2 werewolves for the first time. And I'll say this about Cody Simon. And you would know better than me because your vast knowledge of history, but I'm not sure a player got that much better during his career in terms of like what I thought of him at one point and what I thought of him upon his exit. He's up there. Probably be a great pro. Look up in 10 years, provided his body cooperates, he'll still be in the league. All right. This one is I think the term is non sequitur, just kind of apropos of nothing. But when I was doing research for something else, I happened upon this. Over under. Former Buckeye basketball player Costa Koufos made blank $40 million in the NBA.
Over.
Correct. 47.5. That is staggering to me. Costa Koufos had, when I say kind of a fly-by-night, not that registered of an NBA career, and he made $47.5 million.
Late
Good
first
Lord,
round
it's
pick.
good to be 6'10".
Dude, if you're I think he was actually I think he was a legit 7 foot. I could be wrong.
No one really is, but
if you're a late first round pick and then you stick in the league for what did he stick in the league 10 years? Yeah. That's a good life. You
my
don't have to
wife
get
is 5'2.5" on a hot day.
You did well for yourself though.
I outkicked the coverage, but let's just say
you did
if
well.
I went through it again, I might
get a tall woman.
I might just do the thing like what Eddie Murphy did. Anyway, this is sure to make everyone happy, and you can even correct the question before you answer the answer. So, this season, the expectation is Ohio State will play 4 or 5 big noon games. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Right? I mean, so it's at least Texas, Penn State, Michigan. Do we know about Illinois? Do we know about Illinois yet? Illinois will be a big game.
Yeah.
I don't know who else is playing though. So I'm sorry. What's the what am I guessing here?
The question is Ohio State will play blank big noon games next season. That's the key.
2026. So Texas will not be one next year. Obviously, that'll be a primetime game.
So Dave, the question is this: really, do you think they'll be doing the big noon in perpetuity?
I think there'll be less next year than this year. There's just so much pushback. Not that Fox seems to care. I'll say whatever it is this year, it'll be one game less.
Okay.
Next year.
I think people would push for more, but I get it. All right.
Yes.
Second to last question, as we are on a timer here. Kind of similar to the sacks question, but on the other side of the ball. Travion Henderson, did he make a good NFL debut, by the way?
Oh, my God.
I got a text from someone at the game in media capacity while he was running. Here it goes. Pretty sweet. As for those of you who didn't see it, this new kickoff looked a lot like the last play of the first half against Texas, where you miss one tackle, get your angle wrong, and Trey's off to the races without his mouthpiece in. My pet peeve in football now, but I digress. All right. Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins combined to rush for 2,076 yards last season. Ironically, both went over 1,000, but still the total just 2,076. I think it was 1,060 for Quinshon and 1,016 for Trey. James Peoples and C.J. Donaldson will finish the season with blank combined rushing yards.
Just south of that. I'll say they get just together, they'll get 1,999. We'll say something like that. Because here's why. Not only did they play in 16 games last year, they had the luxury of both those guys staying healthy all year. And that's the most talented running back tandem that I've ever seen at Ohio State. In my time watching, I missed Archie and Pete. I missed the studs before that. But in my time watching, that's the best tandem. So 16 games, stayed healthy. Because James Peoples would have been ready to play last year as a number 3 tailback. So I got to think, hopefully I'm wrong, one of those guys is going to get banged up. Bo Jackson's, I think, will play more than James Peoples did last year. Again, mostly because I think they're going to try and, or they're hopefully both guys stay healthy. But chances are good that one of those guys will get banged up. So I'll say they finish with just under 2,000 combined rushing yards. But Bo Jackson will have more rushing yards than James Peoples did last year. And keep in mind, there's only one ball. So, JJ's got to get his, right? So, so Max Clare, Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate. So I'll say just under what those guys did.
I think if you remember the question I asked earlier about the Buckeye that's about to become a star, I wouldn't be surprised if it's James Peoples, just because if he leads the team in carries and you watch every game, you're going to get a lot of James Peoples. That's just kind of how it works, the nature of the position. All right, last question. Lincoln Kienholz will be a member of blank university's football team in 2026.
I do think he's going to take the Devin Brown route, whereas like he's going to give it his all this year. He'll have 2 years left, and he'll go somewhere else, and Buckeye fans are going to be rooting like crazy for him, just like Devin's going to be at Cal this year. We love Devin. We're going to be rooting like crazy for Devin at Cal, because I think Lincoln's going to see the writing on the wall just like Devin did. I got 2 years left. It was 3 years here. Julian was the guy. Tavian's coming up. If I want to play, it's got to be now. And my answer to your question, sir, is the Iowa Hawkeyes. They brought in a really good quarterback from, I know, fill in the blank of laughing at this, FCS quarterback they brought in, and they're very excited about him. He was at one of the Dakotas. It's funny how the Dakotas like dominate FCS football now, and a little bit Montana too. I think it was either South Dakota State or North Dakota State, one of the two. I want to say South Dakota State, and they're pretty happy with him. But he only has 1 year left. So if it does go well with Tim Lester as their second-year offensive coordinator, and Lincoln sees that, he's kind of from that area of the country anyway, speaking of the Dakotas, right? So I think I'll say Iowa Hawkeyes.
That's a good answer. I hadn't thought of that. I think the easy answer would be Washington, just because he committed there and flipped here. But
they have a good young quarterback, though.
They do, but
yeah.
And the fact is this, what's going to end up probably determining where he goes, and I hate to say this because the beginning of the year I find this bothers me even more and more, but it's going to be injuries. You know what I'm saying? Like most quarterback change is from either ineffective play, but really a lot of it's just injuries. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I feel like every time I turn on the TV, I've told you my fear of the scroll about the NFL. I feel like I can't stand watching guys go down for the season now because I'm getting old. It really bothers me. It didn't used to bother me as much. Now, knock on wood, Ohio State is not impervious to injury, but they're in great shape almost regardless, and we've seen that. But man, some other teams, you get a couple of injuries, and all your hope kind of goes down the Cowboys' drain. I digress. That's it for the two questions, by the way.
Your fear of the scroll is so true. You know, fear of the scroll, fear of the Reaper. Oh, man.
No good news comes across the scroll in football preseason.
The Blue Oyster Cult needs to have a song about that, and then Saturday Night Live needs to spoof it with Will Ferrell and the gang, Christopher Walken. But seriously, one of the funniest freaking clips ever. I'm sure everybody knows about it, but more cowbell SNL is it's right up there with the best ever.
It is.
I said Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Fallon can't even stop laughing throughout the whole thing. So funny. Will Ferrell I just love Will Ferrell, other than his love of USC football. But I digress. All right, Ryan Day.
Hold on a sec. I saw an interview with Christopher Walken. It says he cannot walk down the street in any major city without people just screaming out, "More cowbell!"
Yeah.
This guy had an amazing career as an actor, and more cowbell is what they hear.
And as for me, I know he's been in so many things. He's just had a wonderful career. But I know him number one for more cowbell and number two for his cameo in Pulp Fiction.
Okay, if you want to watch The King of New York. You want Christopher Walken on 10, the entire Christopher Walken experience. Yeah. Watch The King of New York.
But him and his role, that was funny too. I mean, he's telling a very serious story, to young Butch. I stuck that thing. I'm not even going to go into it. It's like it ends up being funny, even though it's completely serious. It's hilarious. Gosh, Pulp Fiction is like low key, like funny, in addition to being my favorite movie of all time. But I digress. All right, Ryan Day today, coming up pretty soon here. No, not that soon. All right, so what are we most interested in hearing? I don't think he's going to say that much about the quarterback battle. I love when we try and ask Tim May. I love when he does that. Hey, who's your second team quarterback? I love Tim May. Who's your second team quarterback? And even if you say things like, what do you need to see from Julian? I think Ryan Day does a good job at the media, but, I'm curious to hear, obviously, what he says about the quarterbacks, but I don't expect to hear that much today. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll name a starter today. I don't think that's going to happen. Curious about the O-line. I think a lot of people saw last week, oh, Ethan's over at right tackle and getting some reps at guard, and Austin's over at left tackle. Does that mean they're not happy with Ethan? I think I'm going to have to see if Coach Day can clarify this. I think it's more they just know from last year they need to have guys learn multiple spots. I don't think they're down on Onionwa. I hope they're not, because it's not like he just got here, Dan, as we all know. He was here in the winter and the spring. They like him. So I've heard some people opine that maybe they're down on Onionwa. I don't think that's the case. I'm going to ask Coach Day about that. Hopefully he talks about the backup D tackles. I asked him about that last time, so I'm not going to ask again about the backup D tackles. So, but it's just going to be interesting hearing from Coach Day today. I'm very curious what he's going to say about a lot of things.
I think you bring up what I would say. First of all, quarterback, there will be comments. There will be no clarity. That's a fact. Right. That makes no sense. But I think you did bring up a good point that Day, I don't think there's a lot that comes out of his mouth that is accidental. So he tends to have a message in every press conference, maybe a slight message for one or two position groups. It was the offensive line last week. Maybe it'll be the offensive line again. I'd be curious to see which position group gets the, we're still battling it out for playing time there chatter, which means it's kind of a general announcement to the players that you either need to pick it up or this guy needs to do that. I will say this about the Ethan Onionwa stuff and like our brief looks at practice and even the brief video practice stuff we get at any level in preseason. I would really fight against, no matter how bad you're jonesing for football, making a big deal out of it. Football in the preseason is not what it used to be. You remember this, Dave. Colleges and pro teams would get after it in the preseason. They'd be having full-on scrimmages. You would really know. Yeah. If you watch an NFL or if they had a real preseason, they don't even play their starters anymore. So you're watching a preseason game and it's 22 people out there who won't see the field. You're not seeing anything. They know the video is better. They know you're watching. They know the other team is watching. We're not getting anything at practice. So I don't make a huge deal out of what we see. And you know me, Dave, I don't really think Day will say anything particularly divisive or earth-shattering, but he will slightly tweak one position group, and then we will talk about that until the next time he comes out there. So I'm curious to see what that is. I don't know what it will be. You kind of got guys in almost every spot now where he could talk about it. He could do quarterback. I don't think he's going to complain about the receivers.
No.
Nor would the Atlanta Falcons if this was their group.
Or the linebackers. Yeah, there's certain groups.
Or the linebackers.
They're like, yeah, we're stacked here. We're at least one of the safeties. Pretty much the entire cornerback room. They love their corners, the depth there. When you have two, who knows, maybe one of them will end up starting if the guys get banged up or guys move around. But you got 2 5-stars as your backup corners in Devin Sanchez and Aaron Scott. Life's good. All right, I got to close the show right there. Thank you to Dan Rubin. Thanks to all of you. We really appreciate it. And yes, Buck Rational, we're eventually going to get the Bucknuts gear going. Buck Rational wanted me to pass that on to Dan, so I'm passing that on to Dan. We'll get that going. We'll get some gear going. And, there's a lot of funny things we can do, like hashtag still basking, whatever else it might be. So we got to get some Bucknuts gear for you guys. All right, thanks to Dan. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate it. Keep it locked to Bucknuts. Take advantage of our 50% off deal. Yearly subscription, half off. Okay, it's a great deal. I mean, it's only $9.99 a month typically. So, I mean, I think that's pretty
13 cents a day.
Yes, and now you're getting that half off for the next year. So, part of still basking is, getting the best Buckeye coverage. So I had to throw that in there. But thanks to Dan. Thanks to all of you. Like, subscribe, take advantage of our 50% off deal, and keep it locked to Bucknuts for whatever Coach Day says later today. All right, guys, go Bucks. I hope you are still basking.